Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us on our Research Nexo webinar from St. Louis, Missouri. Welcome, everybody. I see that we are very excited to have a good audience today from Mumbai, from Delhi, from Bengaluru, Chennai. I see other people. Thank you for joining us. We're going to start right away because we need more clinical trials in India, and that's what we're here for. But today, specifically, we're going to focus on clinical trial management systems. You know, India has specific site challenges, and you live them every day. If you are already a researcher, if you are someone who's just getting started trying to get into research, we will try to make it easy for you by guiding you through the process. But let's focus specifically on our subject today. What is a CTMS? What is the key functionality of a CTMS? What other systems are synced with a CTMS and choosing a CTMS? So let's start with the basics of what is a CTMS. CTMS stands for Clinical Trial Management System. And it is basically a software to manage clinical trials. Now, many sites are doing it manually and are doing it with Excel sheets and are doing it in different ways. But the reality is having a CTMS, a clinical trial management system, it's important. So the term is reflective of something that is needed. What is the key functionality that a CTMS should have? First of all, it should be able to manage your protocols. It should be able to capture what the protocol is and manage it, execute it. It should be facilitating the way to communicate with your patients. It should help you manage the staff scheduling for the sites. If you have a specific staff visits with patients, you need to be able to manage that from the CTMS. It should help you with staff training and compliance. So keep in mind, is your staff trained? They have to receive some specific courses. They have to demonstrate accreditation to be able to comply. And they also typically have to sign on the procedures they execute. Financial management is part of CTMS, and it's an important component. Is your CTMS able to manage the finances of the study as it goes? Remember that the budgets in clinical trials are itemized, and when they are itemized, you have to be able to invoice for every item. So this is important. Is your CTMS going to help you with patient recruiting? That's another component that is important, the ability to actually get patients involved in your trial. And is it going to help you handle supply management? You know, you have supplies for your trial that are in inventory. Is it going to help you manage your inventory? And does it actually help you with compliance support? You can be audited, you will be audited normally in every clinical trial. There's audits, and you have to be able to provide the appropriate demonstration that the staff is accredited, that the protocols are executed correctly, and that the protocols have tracked every service provided properly, including electronic signatures in these cases. So these are the typical key functionality that a CTMS should have. Now, what other systems are synchronized with CTMS? First of all, electronic data capture is important. Sometimes you find the CTMS extended into electronic data capture. Some people are going to sell you electronic data capture as a separate module. You can handle it, but synchronization between the two is always very important. Now, reporting systems. The CTMS sometimes has a very good reporting system, and you can actually generate all the reports that you have. But a lot of times you have to synchronize into other databases, external systems that can actually help you with the reporting that is necessary for the clinical trial. So keep this in mind. And of course, the interaction with electronic medical records. Ultimately, you are providing a, you are providing a medical service, and that medical service needs to be captured in along with the treatment for a patient. So the interface with the electronic medical record is important as well. Okay, let me go ahead and forward as I watch the board with messages. I wanted to track on this. So choosing a CTMS, how to choose a clinical trial management system. First of all, what is the setup procedure that you have? How does it handle the communications with the patients and with the team? Because the team has to be interacting with CTMS as well, the staff that's providing the services and executing the clinical trials. How does it handle the financial management aspects? Is it simple enough? Does it provide access for your administrator? How does it blend into the workflow without trouble? What is the interaction of the CTMS with other systems? Do they have an API, or do they an application interface that enables this fairly easy? Do you have to hire technical people to actually set up your CTMS, or is this something that is kind of a turnkey option? And what are the compliance tools it has? What are the compliance tools it connects into? Those are criteria that are important, but ultimately you're going to think a lot about the cost as well. The cost to start, so is there an implementation cost, the cost per user, and also the cost per event, if there is a cost per event. Some CTMS systems actually have a transactional cost, and you have to keep that in mind when you're selecting a CTMS. So let me go with a summary, because I like to always capture in a picture what you should take away. If you're watching this webinar, it is very likely that you're thinking about choosing a CTMS. So if you are, first of all, it must help. A CTMS must help you manage, communicate, and comply. A CTMS should not let you leave money on the table. It should not let you leave money on the table. It should not leave services without invoices so that you can leave money on the table. So it should not let you leave money on the table, I repeat. And the cost, you have to consider the cost of the initial cost, the cost per user, or the cost per event. These are the considerations important to keep in mind when you are selecting a CTMS system. I hope this is helpful. Let me go ahead and tell you that at ResearchNexo, we actually can help you, and we provide for free a CTMS for your company. So if you're working in Medinexo with ResearchNexo for your clinical trials, actually ResearchNexo provides the CTMS as part of the service in the execution of a clinical trial, because we are all about helping you establish your clinical trial site and not have to worry about the technology to do it. Just execute and focus on the science and the execution of the trial and the business of it. Now, today I want to invite you to to visit us, or be aware, if you can't be there, of the fact that we will be at a SCRS conference and specifically at the summit focused on diversity in clinical trials. Because you're in India, you represent a very important component of a world diverse population. And the world needs you to participate in clinical studies. It needs your patients to get involved, to participate. And it also is important for us, for our mission, to make new services, innovation in healthcare available to patients in your area. So participate. But if you have a chance, check out the CRS Diversity Conference. We will be there on May 20th in Austin, Texas for this presentation. So at this point, I want to invite you to be there and say thank you. I'm going to address a couple of questions, and Bibu, and we have Dr. Bibu Dawan joining us shortly, and I'd like to invite him to come in so that he can join us. Dr. Bibu Dawan is the director of Medinexo India. He is a licensed physician both in the U.S. and in India, and he actually is a researcher in India handling multiple sites. We are very excited to have him. I hope he can join us soon. In the meanwhile, I would like to ask a couple of to address a couple of questions. I have a question from someone asking, is the CTMS different for different countries? And the answer is actually the CTMSs are created to be used in multiple countries, yet it is important that the compliance aspect of it is able to interact with the authorities in the local countries. And specifically in India, it's important that they interact locally with the compliance required nationally. So that's a good question, and I appreciate it. Another question is, who pays for the CTMS? That's very interesting. CROs used to be the ones that paid for the CTMS. In fact, they used to provide it. Now, what the trend is that sponsors and CROs expect you as the site, as the clinical trial site, to be enabled with a CTMS and for you to have it. So one of the reasons why Medinexo provides the CTMS as part of the enabling technology is because we need to lower these barriers. So we provide a CTMS for you as part of your introduction to Research Nexo. But now in what comes to who pays for it, the sponsors or the CROs typically do not pay for the CTMS initiation and setup. They do pay for the use of a CTMS in the execution of the trial. So that is that's another consideration that you have to keep in mind. How does the CTMS help you communicate with patients? The CTMS can help you, and it varies depending on the CTMSs that we have and the way they blend into your connection. One of the characteristics that we have on Medinexo is that we connect the CTMS with a telemedicine system. So you actually can have telemedicine sessions and reporting on telemedicine sessions executed and connected into the reporting of the CTMS. But CTMS typically should help you with scheduling. At a minimum, it should help you with the scheduling, with the ability to communicate with the patient that there is a scheduled appointment. Another very important point with communication with the patient, and it should be able to help you with electronic signatures, because you need to get consent and you need to typically get that with electronic signatures. The CTMS system should be able to enable you to do that. What about the electronic medical records? Well, CTMSs are not designed to keep electronic medical records. That's where the interaction with the electronic medical record comes into play. And it sounds extremely technical, and in some cases, if you have a small site or a clinic that doesn't have a lot of IT resources, we work with facilities that are a single person operation, working in a remote area, and a lot of times with difficulties with communications, with Wi-Fi and all this. That is the importance of having a system that can actually adjust to that. But it is also important that you have an organization like Medinexo enabling you to do this. Otherwise, you would require IT, and you would require other people to be in. So let me see if Dr. Dawan is available. I will be there. I joined through him. So I'm hoping that we can introduce Dr. Vibhu Dawan, but unfortunately we're running out of time, and I think he's not going to be able to join us. So I'm gonna have to call it because of time. So thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate you taking the time, and I hope you enjoyed the takeaways. And please come by researchnexo.com to get any more information, future webinars, and to join us in this quest to help the world get more access to innovative care. Take care. Bye-bye.